One. Andy, you're live.
Welcome to the best sports betting show on the planet. This is WagerTalk Today. I am your host, Andy Lang. It is Monday. And if you want to get ahead of the markets this week, which we all need to do, this is where it starts. We're going to break down the NFL preseason look-aheads. We got to do the Steam Report, see where the lines are moving on preseason. We're going to look at MLB today, and we're even going to look with Iowa State and Kansas State in the Ireland game. These are games that most bettors are not even thinking about yet, but that's what we do here. We got to get ahead of the market. So watch now and get the edges before the public catches on. We're going to start with Gianni The Greek to get the Steam Report. Krackomberger is going to join us with an MLB prop. Steve Merril is going to join us to talk Mariners and Phillies and the Iowa State, Kansas State, Ireland game. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. The goals have been fantastic with hitting the subscribers, so it's all thanks to you guys. Really appreciate all your work. All right, let's bring in Gianni, and let's talk some of these line moves here. Gianni, we got to talk NFL preseason. Good morning. How are you, sir? Happy Monday.
Wonderful. With the I was worried after the first week did not go well for us in preseason. I was like, what? I hooked up with the best group that I've had in a long time for exactly what I need for this football season. And so I was so excited. And we had a terrible first week. But then the next morning when I woke up, I saw that the books did awful. And then seeing Dave Mason talking about it, how his sharp guys came in on 4 sides, all 4 lost. I was like, okay, so the information's solid. And we had beat the closing line. We just didn't get there with the W. This week, though, we flipped the script on them. 14 preseason bets, cashed 10 of 14, 2 of them yesterday, and taking advantage of a lot of the overreactions. I saw it with the very first night when Tennessee was like at a 5.5, 6-point favorite, 6.5-point favorite. They went down to 2.5 through that key number, and boom, that group comes in and says max bet 2.5. Lay the 2.5 max bet it for us. I was like, what are they doing, dude? They're going against the sharpest stuff. Obviously, it moved 3-4 points. Nope, they hit that one. Then yesterday, those totals, same thing. The total on the night game had gone up 3-4 points. I'm like, dude, they're going opposite the Steam. Nothing could be further from the truth, man. There's a lot of manipulation going on. So I'm really excited about the preseason. Here's what I got for you tonight. Not much. It's a little bit early. So far, we've seen over money on Monday Night Football. Not surprising. This line got bet like every other week 2 line got bet. Over money. After the week 1 games went final, the money started coming in on the over. We talked about it on WagerTalk today before the weekend, that only 1 matchup had any kind of under bets from recreational bettor. Every other matchup in week 2, they were slamming that over. And the same thing tonight with Monday Night Football. That's why it's gotten as high as 43 from 39. That's the adjustment. Now the key is there still value to go over, or now do we look at the under? With Cincinnati, they're now gone through that key number of 3. So got to pay attention there. I'm even seeing 4s on the screen. So that matters. Again, got to see now if we're willing to lay the points with Cincinnati. I wish I would have got down at -3. I kind of like them a little bit there. But we'll see. I haven't touched the Monday Night Football yet. Going to stay selective. That's been doing well for us in NFL. And again, terrible in MMA. I don't know how you did. Chimaev got there for me. I should have just bet. Like I felt with those matchups, Chimaev I felt so confident about the Chimaev bet. But as week went on, more and more, and just did not turn out well for me. Hopefully you had a good UFC 319.
I went 2-2, except I lost the 2 big plays and won the 2 small plays. And this is interesting because you would say I made a great bet, because the play we lost in PFL was freaking Godzi, who opened at -700. We quickly threw him in a parlay. He closed -2,000.
Yeah.
So we had to the line moved so aggressively, we had to take the play down. And then he loses a decision, and I say that's a bad bet because we lost. And you would say, dude, you beat the line. You couldn't have beat the line by much more. So we win the
that like me.
plays.
I had and I know all again. We could Monday morning quarterback it a billion different ways. And that's where the closing line value argument comes into play, because we could argue about, was it a good bet if it didn't cash or this or that. But I felt good with the market when I laid -150. And then I saw it get to -200. I was like, Beautiful. That's exactly what a big bet's supposed to do. But one spin and elbow and Pico gets knocked out and rushed to the hospital. Nothing you could do there. And Murphy, I totally understood the argument on the Murphy side completely. I mean, again, I made a lot of money betting Murphy. He's been so undervalued. I just thought it was the worst situation for him possible. Short notice, those fighters only win 1 out of 3 times. He flew from England only 2 days or so before the fight, had to get acclimated with Chicago. Like, there was a lot of trends against the Murphy side, but he had the UFC experience. So I understood that argument. I just thought Pico was undervalued. The line reflected that. But again, man, you can't control what's going to happen when they go out there. All you can do is try to place bets.
Well, let's take a look at NFL preseason week 3. I'm looking at the lines. There's a couple of lines that have moved just a little bit. I would say probably the most notable one is that Dallas line opened at -1. That thing's already up to -4. I even see a -4.5 at FanDuel. Couple of little movements here on some of the totals, but I would say nothing as aggressive this week as what we saw on Monday of last week. So wondering your thoughts here on NFL preseason.
Sorry, didn't want to interrupt you, but this just came up on my screen now on the instant messaging that I'm with that group. They just bet Tennessee. At +1. So that'll flip. Tennessee will go favored. They'll be favored. Cleveland went through that key number against the Rams. They're getting bet this morning too. And then the over in Houston, Detroit. Over Houston, Detroit, Cleveland, and Tennessee. Tennessee for sure. And like you said, Dallas definitely got hit. I didn't see that in any of the accounts, but I see the line movement now. They went right to 3. Wow. That went right to 3. As soon as it opened, 1.5. They must have took a big limit bet, got bet to 3 right away. And then through that T3, it's up to 4. So that -3 wasn't enough to stop them. They laid the 3. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was the one that really jumped out. They're not fans of the Falcons in preseason. So nothing in WNBA. So we turn our attention to MLB. Interested in some of your thoughts today. Yes.
And baseball. And so I don't forget, remind me US Open when we're done this, because very slow so far in baseball. Just 3 signs that I saw in the accounts. It was Detroit, 910 Detroit at -140, 921 Cincinnati at -105, and 925 Milwaukee at +105. So Milwaukee +105, Cincinnati -105, and Detroit -140. Bill, I agree with you with Dallas. I like under 7.5 wins for Dallas. I like Dallas to not make the playoffs as well. And here's what sticks out most about the Dallas Cowboys. When you look at what Dave Mason was saying, Dallas to make the playoffs and Dallas over are some of the most one-sided ticket bets. So when he looks at ticket count, Dallas to make the playoffs at plus money, Dallas to go over at plus money, I think it was as well, is one of the highest one-sided ticket bets. Dallas to make the playoffs is also high liability for them. But if you look at the money bet, it's Dallas to not make the playoffs. So that's the perfect example of how the ticket count may be 9-1 in favor of Team A, but if a betting syndicate comes in and blasts Team B, rest assured, the risk will be different for the books. And that's exactly what you're looking at with Dallas, where all the recreational bettors are betting Dallas playoffs, Dallas over. And then you have the wise guys saying Dallas, no playoffs. We'll lay -200 for that. So it'll be interesting to see how me being a Cowboys fan back in the day, it'll be interesting to see how Dallas does. I like the Eagles to repeat. No one's repeated, I think, in like the last 20 years, since 2004 in the NFC East. So very hard to do. But I think if anybody could do it, Philly, even if they regress, they just won so many games last year. They could win 2-3 less. And I just think they're still going to win that division because Washington, I think they're going to take a step back a little bit.
Yeah, listen, I was going to talk about it here a little bit later, but yeah, we got U.S. Open. It's a huge tennis week. I mean, we're going to be playing qualifiers this week, so any plays that we start to have for U.S. Open, they'll immediately be up on WagerTalk. And then, like always in the majors, Gianni, we go hard the first couple days and the first couple rounds, and the closer we get to championship, the volume just kind of tails off. Like once you get the best players playing each other and they're tired and there's injuries that pop up because of a grueling schedule. So we always tell people there can be some real good value in the qualifiers. Anything that we'll have up, we'll put up for sale. And then first few days, we may have like 20 plays in the first few days of US Open. That's just been the recipe to success that these tennis majors. How do you attack these?
Yeah, we already bet some qualifiers today. I gave out a 4%. 2% on the money line, 2% plus 2.5 games. I'll give that to you guys right now. Polona Herzog, Polona, last name Hercog. We took her plus 135 on the money line. Also took her plus 2.5 games. I'll give you one more because I think that one's going off. This one you still have an hour and a half. Landlana, Tara Rudy. So it's Tararudee. We got her at plus 110. So she's good down to even money. And we also took her plus 1.5 games, minus 120. So there's 2 US Open qualifiers for you. Subscribers over the next 30 minutes, right when I jump off of this, you will probably receive 4 or 5 qualifiers. We've done real well with our tennis historically with these early on. So you'll be getting those premiums as soon as I jump off of here because they just fired like 7, 8, 9 of them, man. So yeah, let's go tennis.
Yeah, and guys, our job here is to make money. There's a lot of money to be made in some of these sports that the books maybe are not paying a ton of attention to. So whether you may bet on tennis qualifiers or NFL preseason, it's going to pay out the same. And I'm going to guarantee you the lines are going to be easier to beat in these tennis qualifiers. So we had a question from Donani. He was asking about the betting splits. Is that from Dave Mason, that information you gave about the NFL?
Yeah, the NFL, Dave put them out. If you go to his Twitter, you'll see he put like the top 5 for Bet Online, their top 5 exposure, their top 5 ticket count, their top 5 money bet. And that lined up with what the credit shop that I have access to that I look at, same exact thing they're getting. So that's always a good way to confirm when you're seeing it happen off screen and on screen. So same thing happened there. Good job, Bill. Keep crushing that PGA, brother.
Yeah, Gianni, I went 2-0 in Live, and it was fun. I went to the Live tour. It was at my house. I went on Friday.
Good job.
It was a blast, man. It's unlike any golf event you ever. The DJ is just constantly playing music the whole time. Like even when they're hitting shots, there's just music playing. They had paratroopers land on the first fairway before anybody even teed up.
And I've never gone to a golf event tournament, like professional. And they have them here in Vegas, obviously. 1 or 2 a year, I think. I need to go check that out. I've never gone to a golf event.
Well, so I followed the first day I followed Bryson DeChambeau, not because I wanted to follow Bryson, but because I wanted to follow the other guys in his group. And I will just tell you that following Bryson DeChambeau is you might as well just be prepared. You're going to be hanging out with a lot of teenage dudes. And they're just going to be constantly going, Bryson, yo, dude, bro, Bryson's getting ready to hit. Shh, bro, Chad, Bryson's getting ready to hit, Chad. Shh, Bryson's like, it was a blast. But after about 9 holes, I had enough. I'll just say that.
That's what you expect, though, for Live.
Yeah, it was good. John asked anything on Dana White Contender Series fights. Yes, my article is done. I have to wait until the plays come out, the lines come out on the domestics on DraftKings. Bet Online has the lines out already. Why? Because Bet Online always has the lines out first. But yeah, you got a couple you have like 3 massive favorites and 2 that are, I think, going to be pretty close. Yeah, I know where I'm going, Gianni.
Weight classes I'm still empty. This will be filled out by tomorrow when I have to go. But by tomorrow 9 a.m. I have to send them all 5 sides and 3 totals. And so I'll have my opinions tomorrow. That's for sure. For you guys.
I will just tell you all this. There's a guy fighting on Contender Series tomorrow. I think he's had like 10 fights. 3 of them were in one night. His last fight was he fought in one of those tournaments where you have to fight 3 times in one night. And I went and watched. Dude, this guy is a dog. You're going to love him. This guy is a dog. He won the championship with a busted up eye from one of his earlier fights, and he knocked the dude out. You're going to love him. Ramiro Jimenez.
I'm excited for this week. Last week was a little strange. It was very weird. So,
We're off to a great start. Gianni, tell everyone what you have up for Monday.
Awesome, brother. Yes, I have the college football. We got football coming up Saturday. I don't know if you guys know it, but I have a college football pass that's already up there for you with a 4% and a 3% for Saturday. Finished number 1 in college football 2 of the last 4 seasons. Only 1 losing college football season since 2020. So the college football is there. Now the NFL's got to get up to par. And that's why, like I said, I hunted down really good information. I'm excited so far paying it out. The futures passes up there as well. It's combined. Got a lot of volume in there because I put division winners in there. I put Super Bowl winners in there, whether teams will make the playoffs as well as season win totals as well. Like I explained to my subscribers in the Steam Room, I am comfortable putting 20, 25% of my bankroll on those futures because the return on investment has been just so good long term. But again, manage your risk how you feel. I hope you guys do some damage this week. Baseball will be up. And don't forget, U.S. Open coming your way within the next 10, 15 minutes if you're a subscriber. So let's have a good week and see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, Gianni and I will talk Dana White Contender Series tomorrow once we get all the lines official and the weigh-ins and everything. Danon, another great question. In your opinion, what's the sharpest book for tennis? Okay, this is a really important question, guys. If you have the domestic books, you are only playing on FanDuel. FanDuel has the best rules for when a player retires or gets injured during a match. This is really important. Check the rules on your book because books do it completely different. If your player gets hurt and retires in like the second set, the bet is just void and you don't lose. Other books, if your player retires, it goes down as a loss. It's worth taking a little bit of a worse number on a book like FanDuel than it is another book, just because the rules are going to be more in your favor. So it's not with tennis, in my opinion, it's not necessarily what's the sharpest book with the lines. It's which books have the best rules that favor the better. So we had a situation last week with the tennis play. If you bet it on FanDuel, you won a parlay. If you bet it on another book, it went down as a loss. So, Danon, it's a really good question. And tennis is tough because each book has all kinds of different lines. But if you have FanDuel, check FanDuel. And please check your rules. That's the most important thing. Check the rules of the sports book to see how they grade some of those plays. So, great questions, guys. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Let's keep it rolling here with Bill Krackomberger. We got to talk a little MLB prop. We got to talk a little NFL preseason. So, Bill, happy Monday. How are you today?
Hey, good. I'm pretty shocked to see all those. Is my camera not working, guys? Sorry.
You've never looked better, Bill. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. No. You know why? I have my odds screen up. So I was looking at the odds screen. Just give me one. I can't believe this. Cleveland and Denver really getting a lot of love this morning here. I'll put the screen back on. I was trying to look at both screens at the same time. I'd see it doesn't work. Yeah, early Monday morning, I'm surprised that the line's moving like they're moving without Vegas being up. So, here we are, 9:20 a.m. Monday. I don't have Circa, Westgate, South Point. There's no Vegas lines up really. So, which you can get down some decent money on those at those sports books. But yet, like I said, there's no Vegas lines up yet. Kind of waiting to attack a little bit, but I'm surprised to see some of those lines move so much because of the cumulative money you can get down. And a couple of now that I look at it, a couple of the far off places aren't even up. So, but if someone's looking to bet, in early morning, Monday morning, it's same thing happens in the regular season. So Sunday night NFL, the lines come out, and yet someone will attack the lines to get down a dime or two. But if you think about it, we only have a 5% edge, 6% edge. I'll be nice and say a 10% edge, and that's not the case on Sunday night. And let me just tell you, that means you have for every $1,000, you get $100 return on investment. And I know what you can get down at these books when they open up. So you have to wait for a market in order to have liquidity in order to bet for you and your clients. So it's preseason has been a little bit tougher this year. Week 2 is a little bit better, and just like Gianni said, boy, I tell you what, it's tough to come on after Gianni. He is just so full of energy, left and right and left and right. You feel like you're in a 3-rounder with Mike Tyson with your hands tied behind your back. So. But however, though, I love it. It's good energy to start off the Monday morning with, Andy.
Well, Well, we're going to get to MLB prop, but football's king. So John asked in the comment, would love to hear Bill and Andy discuss Dallas Cowboys wins and playoff futures. I will tell you right now, Dan and I broke down the Cowboys a while ago, and I leaned the under on 7.5. I'm seeing 8.5s on the win totals. I'll gladly take it under 8.5. I think the Eagles are better than them. I think Washington's better than them. Giants, who knows? But I don't trust this Cowboys team. New coaching staff. I don't trust Dak. If you bump this up to 8.5, I will be forced to take the under on this one. Playoffs are a little murky because you never know what happens in other divisions. Some quarterbacks get hurt and maybe Dallas sneaks in. I wouldn't take a yes or no on the playoffs, but under 8.5, I think I would lean the under. What do you think?
Andy, every year for the last 3 or 4 years, 3 years in a row, I've had Dallas under futures and I've cashed on them under 10.5 wins, under. But now they set the line a little bit lower. I've seen about 8 wins, 8.5, like you're saying. This is the first year that I definitely don't have Dallas over, but I don't have under on Dallas. So I think they have properly adjusted this team. I think Dak Prescott, out of all those quarterbacks, I think Dak Prescott is probably the most overpaid out of all those big quarterback contracts that are out there. That's an active player, in my opinion. I think, matter of fact, I think I read he's the highest paid player in football. How can Dak get more than Mahomes? I mean, but Mahomes has to redo his contract or something if Dak Prescott's getting $60 million this year. I just don't see what everyone else, well, not what everyone else, there are some people on my side, but it's tough to play under that Jerry Jones, the whole regime over there. It's tough to play for a guy that owns the team, that's the GM, that's just like, oh God, he's like a dictator. It's so hard. Jerry, let the team play. Let executives that are half your age, that are enamored in the actual playing on the field, take over and make some decisions. Maybe that's the reason why you haven't seen a Super Bowl win in so many in decades. So, but yeah, this is a team people love to hate. I'm on that bandwagon. Even people in Dallas hate the Cowboys. So I may just root against them, especially that you're going to play the under. But I'm not betting over, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move to an MLB prop. Every week, come on, give us an MLB prop. What? Not a ton of games, but is there one that you're kind of leaning towards today?
Yeah, we're gonna go with the Blue Jays, the Gas Man, Kevin Gassman, and we're gonna go strikeouts over 5.5. I'm looking on a couple different sites right now. Let me just make sure. I never want to give out a line. Yeah, 5.5 over 20. So he has been pitching. He's always been like a great strikeout pitcher in his career, and he goes against the Pirates today, who have the 6th highest strikeout rate since the All-Star break. So should be a good pitcher's duel today too. Skeens, I'm taking. It should really be a good pitcher duel. I like that kid too, though. Again, over strikeouts. I have a couple different sites that take these. Here in Vegas, we don't have these. Like back east, they have the FanDuels and DraftKings have all these options. Here we have like BetMGM has like 100 ways to bet each game. I'm on there. Shameless plug for BetMGM, but hey, they're there with all these different options. Caesars has a lot of options too, but unfortunately, I got thrown out of there for winning. So I only really have BetMGM to look at here for these type of bets. They have many ways to bet a game. Matter of fact, there's only 2 places I know in this town, Circa and BetMGM, that have ways to take the alternative win totals. I really like doing that. And instead of taking the flat 8.5 minus 1, 110 each way, they'll have over 9.5 or over 10.5 or under, and you can lay some juice there. And speaking of which, yesterday I was saying it on my Fox show. So I love that. Let's say the Eagles, they're opening up football. So let's say you want to get on the Eagles season wins under, which I kind of lean to a little bit. I always lean to the Super Bowl winner, thinking there's a lot of square money in that market, and even the sports books. Well, they'll put up their lines and skew the line a little bit towards the over, knowing and with the anticipation of which way people are betting. So I like the win totals as the season progresses. Again, BetMGM, the DraftKings and FanDuels of the world, they offer that type of bet. Maybe Caesars does. I don't know. But like if you're looking at season wins, like you see a 7-point favorite. Dallas Cowboys are playing the Eagles. The Eagles are a 7-point favorite. So you think they're going to win that game. Maybe you wait one more week and the 11.5 becomes 12.5 wins, or becomes 12 wins, and you get to have them beat you at only 13 wins. So I love betting the alternative markets. I love betting the markets that are adjusted as the season goes on. And I'll talk to the who's who over at WagerTalk to see if we could put a couple of them up as the season goes on, because there's only limited sports books. They don't have them at the rest of the sports books, but I think there's some value there as the weeks go on. Looking forward to football season. To be real blunt, I love baseball. Going to a game. I don't go to NFL games. Get a lot of invites to go to Raiders games. May go to 1 or 2 games. It's just tough because I do a Fox Sports show in the morning, Fox Sports Radio. It's just so tough Sunday morning, then get out into the game. Betting is still my number one way of making money in my life. So Sunday mornings alone, it's tough. I used to play those parlay cards, which more and more sports books are being taken over by these big corporate books, and taking those parlay cards away. It's real simple. There's 3 or 4 that's still in this town that have them. They come out, they're printed on Wednesday. So just think, they're printed Wednesday. By Sunday, the games are, definitely adjusted. They're definitely people betting on them. So the games will move, and it's real simple. So let's say you have 3 teams. By the way, that's what I'll bet, 3 teamers. 3 teamers, you get 5.5 to 1. And 6 to 1 being in true odds. So 5.5 to 1 you'll get on them. But the value here is betting the key numbers that are off. So if a team is a 2.5-point favorite on the parlay card, and now they're 3 or 3 minus 20 or even 3.5, obviously you want to bet the 2.5. You're not going to be betting nothing you actually like. This is a numbers-based betting system, which has been very successful. I was escorted to the door at Delaware Park with security, beating them out of parlay cards 20 years ago so bad. Or maybe less than 20 years ago, I guess 15 years ago. But yeah, they took me to the door after 2 seasons. They've had enough, but they still have parlay cards here. Again, you want to bet the antiquated lines against the current lines in a sharp sports book. So you don't want to look at the lines at a Stations or a Coast, or you want to make sure you're looking at the lines at the sharper sports books that control the market, the Pinnacles, the Chris's, the Circas. You want to look at their lines and see where they're at and compare them to the parlay cards. And they are in 3 or 4 books here still. That's just a good strategy. Very spontaneous little nugget tip there. By the way, don't bet $100 on them. Bet $10. Bet $20. Because they will deny them. If you're betting a larger amount, they will deny them. Or they will even say you can't bet that, so you can't bet that game on the card. But if you bet them in 10s and 20s or at the kiosk or something, they're going to go right through. I'm not saying circumvent limits. I'm just saying you want to bet less money. I have no problem, by the way. If I like a 3-teamer that is 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, that now is 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, I'll bet them, but I'll just bet them in a smaller amount. I'll bet a $20 or $25, and I'll bet it over and over again, a few times. So there's a way to get down a little bit. And listen, it's real simple. You're not doing anything illegal. You're betting what they offer. That's it. I was over at a couple casinos in town a couple of years ago. They were actually telling me you can't bet the favorite, you can only bet the underdog. Like, I couldn't even, if I had videos of this stuff, gaming wouldn't even believe what goes on. I'm not joking. I was told you can't bet that way, you can only bet that way. That's multiple times in my life I've been told that on multiple different things.
Imagine going into a restaurant and they're like, you can't order the steak, you have to get a salad. You're like,
yeah.
Wait, what? What kind of restaurant is this?
I haven't had a salad since the 90s. So,
well, I will tell you, you absolutely can play on WagerTalk the in-season win totals. NBA is a cash cow. Those are my biggest NBA bets.
Yes.
Last year was the in-season play. You can tell when teams are getting ready to give up at the trade deadline and snag a great number. Great teams that get off to bad starts or they have an injury when the guy's coming back. You get amazing lines. So 100% you can do that.
Yeah. And Andy, football contest coming up here. And I'm going to be going around here that first week of football contest. And we have some really good contests in town. I don't know why no one's really talking about this college football contest at Westgate. First of all, the contest at Westgate, the contest at Circa, and the contest at South Point, zero juice, zero. Where else can you play anything in a casino, gambling-wise, with no juice? It all goes back to the public. So the ones at the Westgate I was referring to is college football, 7 picks against the spread, and there is a lot. There's more people entering that right now than has been entering the Superbook Super Contest. So maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't heard about it in media. I just think that's such a good contest to have here, to join up for. If you're going to join, I know everyone wants to go down to Circa and join the contest down there, and you're going to be against a lot more competition down there. Here I think they have over 500 people already. I'm expecting like 1,000 entries in this, $500,000 in this pool. It's $500, by the way. 500 bucks.
I agree.
You get a group of friends, get in there. The Super Contest also is great, $1,500 this year, and they also have they're having a Survivor for $5,000. There's about 50 people in there so far. So I like to help Westgate a little bit. They're like they were the original, the Superbook, the big book there. I was just here this week at Bet Bash, my first Bet Bash I ever went to, and I was there for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Did my podcast there, as we know, on WagerTalk. We did our podcast Wednesday there live with about 100 people in attendance. It was really cool. Lots of people, lots of special guests came on, lots of fun. And just the contest there, they're going to probably reach there. Derek, I'm friends with Derek, and, he put up a number on these things, which were a lot of money. I mean, they're guaranteeing, tens of millions of dollars here. I would think they're going to reach that number. Oh, definitely Survivor is. Survivor may have 20 million in it. That's pretty sick.
That's insane.
It's insane. $1,000 an entry. They may have $20 million in there. I think it's going to be about 18 million in that contest. Last year, as we know, by week 5, over 98% were out. That's unbelievable. That's what I'm saying. So people are that opening night game, Philadelphia versus Dallas. People are probably thinking, Dallas, Philly is going to kill Dallas. 6.5, 7-point favorite. Well, that's what we thought about Cincinnati last year. So most of the people, though, I'm talking to, they're going to have Denver. Denver opening. It's going to be a little bit of a tough ask for a team to come in that climate, first game of the year after a hot summer. It may just still be a little bit warm there. And going to Denver, Denver's a big favorite that week too. But anything can happen. Anything can happen any week in the NFL. We never know. Looking forward to these contests. Over at the South Point too, they have a $25,000 contest. No juice. I just found out about. I love these contests. By the way, it gives you a little action every week. So you don't have to chase with the Sunday, Monday night game. I know the human tendency, our human makeup is to chase. And you don't have to do that, man. Enjoy the contest. Put some plays in there. Have some picks every week. A buddy of mine said, you should put $5 or $10 on every single team over under season wins for the year. This way, you have a little root on those Sunday, Monday night games when our tendency is to get even from the weekend. So literally, regular season wins, throw $5 on every single team. Have a little root every single Sunday, Monday night.
Interesting concept. I don't play in high money Survivors because it made me so mad. I'll play in the little ones. Bet Online's running $30 a piece. I'll buy a bunch of entries in that one and be perfectly happy with that. But yeah, my days of playing the bigger money Survivor, I get so mad at myself. So,
Sure.
All right, Bill, what do you have up for everybody Monday?
Well, listen, I'm going by their words here on WagerTalk. They were saying this has never happened before. Bill Krackomberger, you can get a month of his. He's right though. Whoever wrote that up, I don't know who wrote it from WagerTalk. For $200, you can get a month of plays. We have this final week of preseason. Of course, we're going to have the NFL this year. It's my first year of venturing into NFL side, so you'll get them also. Last 3 years, I told you one of my guys has been doing NFL sides, and I know how hard it is to beat NFL sides. We're going to probably put them out on Monday mornings, though, maybe Tuesday the latest when there's some liquidity. But yeah, we're going to have NFL sides this year. Last 3 years, we've had the only 3 years I've tracked this kid. He has, I sat there with my, in my hands, and as this kid's won, 58 units, in 3 years, I believe he said to me yesterday.
Nice.
So yeah, you're going to have that sides. We're going to have some great totals, some great first half stuff. I like betting first half totals a lot in NFL. So I look forward to this. WagerTalk has a sick rate up for $200. So Join us over there and have some fun. Let's get some winners together.
All right, Crackman joining us every week. Thank you so much. Good luck this week.
Guys.
Let's have a great week. We'll do it again next week. Bill mentioned his special. We have a site-wide special, 7 days for $69. That is still up. I believe tomorrow is the last day. So Flex Picks, you can get this is discounted from $99 down to $69. It was a huge weekend. But you can lock in 7 days now. That way you get this week and the weekend. You get to pick your handicapper each day. Somebody has a 5% best bet up tonight that you like. You could use that. Hopefully cash that one, move in tomorrow. You can move with the same handicapper each day, or you can switch it up. It's all up to you. That's the beauty of Flex Pick. So 7 days, just $69, less than $10 a day over at WagerTalk, and that works with any handicapper each day. All right, let's bring on Steve Merril, and we're going to talk a little bit of MLB and college football. So, Steve, let's start with college football. We're already getting college football talk in the chat here, so I hope you had a great weekend. Let's talk this Iowa State, Kansas State game in Ireland, because I don't know about you, but when I think Ireland, I think Iowa State versus Kansas State. It's just the first thing that comes to mind. It's a perfect match made here. So how do you approach this first game here? We got overseas. They got a lot of weird stuff going on. What's your breakdown?
So there are 4 Division 1A games this week. There are actually 9 total college football games. The other 5 games involve at least one, if not 2, 1AA teams, FCS versus FBS. I'm dating myself with the 1A, 1AA stuff. But this is definitely the spotlight game this week. In fact, I wasn't planning on doing my college football top 25 video until week 1. I don't acknowledge week 0 with my top 25 video, but I kind of have to this week because this is a top 20 matchup. So let's knock it out here and do a deep dive analysis of both the side and total. This is the official first college football game of the year. It goes at 12 noon Eastern this Saturday. And what is that? August the 23rd at high noon Eastern on ESPN. And that is probably like 5 p.m. early evening in Dublin, Ireland. 9th or 10th time, I believe they've played games in Ireland. Goes all the way back to the late 1980s, which surprised me. And then they took a hiatus from us 2 decades, resumed in 2012, Notre Dame, Navy, and then we've had some games since then as well. In fact, we've played each of the last 3 years at this exact stadium, and we, of course, had Northwestern Nebraska, high-scoring shootout, 31-28 3 years ago. 2 years ago, we had Notre Dame romping Navy 42-3. And then last year, we had that big upset. Georgia Tech, I believe, about a 10-point dog, beat what turned out to be a vastly overrated Florida State team, 24-21. Of course, Florida State was top 10 at that point and just fell in their face all season long. This is a big game. These are 2 top 20 ranked teams, as I mentioned. They're both 2 of the top 3 favorites, along with probably Arizona State, to win what's a very mediocre Big 12 conference this year. And it's also interesting because it's a quick rematch, something we hardly ever see. These teams played in late November last year at Iowa State. Cyclones won that game 29-21. A little bit misleading, though. If you look at the box score, yes, they had a 22-14 first down edge, but Kansas State outgained them by 40 yards, outgained them by nearly 2 yards per play. And what really jumps out to me from last year's game was the passing result. 7.6 yards per pass to 3.8 for Iowa State. Cyclones did run for about 40 yards more, but Kansas State 4.6 to 4.3 yards per rush. So if you look at the yards per play, yards per pass, those are the numbers I like to break down in general. Kansas State was as good, if not better, in that game. The difference, of course, 2 turnovers to none, and they were on the road. So this is a quick revenge spot. And don't forget that win allowed Iowa State to advance to the Big 12 championship game against Arizona State, who ended up getting a top 4 seed in the college playoff. So I do think Kansas State has this game circled. There's obviously uncertainty when you're traveling overseas with 19, 20, 21-year-olds going to Dublin, Ireland. But I'm going to handicap this game as a clean handicap. 2 top 20 teams, both return their quarterbacks. They both return their coaching staffs. Very similar to last year's matchup. And on surface, I think Kansas State has like 10 returning starters, Iowa State 13. But you got to look at production returning and also the transfer portal. I actually rate Kansas State with the better returning production on both offense and defense versus Iowa State. So I thought they were as good, if not better, last year. I would lay the 3. And by the way, this line is moving around. We have mostly -3s out there right now, juiced in some spots. I've even seen a 3.5 start to pop. So I'd grab -3 or less if you like Kansas State. If you like Iowa State, I would wait. You probably will find some +3.5s later this week as we get closer to the weekend. As far as the total goes in this one, Sitting right now around about 49.5 after opening 49. I've seen a couple 50s pop in some of the sharper books. I would agree with the over. 51 is the key number. 50 is a dead number. As long as it stays below 51, which is a very key number with totals, I think the over is worth a look. And once again, it's always dicey when you're playing overseas, unusual setting. But we have seen some points in this venue over the years. Obviously, the Notre Dame Navy game 2 years ago, an option run attack, a blowout. We disregard that. But we did get 59 points in that Nebraska-Northwestern game 3 years ago. And last year, 24-21, 45 points. Considering how bad that Florida State offense turned out to be, was fairly high scoring as well. So I lean Kansas State -3 or less, and I would lean the over 49.5. Top 20 matchup to start off the college football season 2025 this Saturday at noon Eastern on ESPN. And don't forget, I will have my weekly college football top 25 video each and every week going forward. So make sure you subscribe and you click the bell here on WagerTalk TV. And my full season college and pro football specials are both available still right now with special prices on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And of course, you can get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM.
All right, Steve, let's move to the Major League Baseball. Let's talk the Phillies and the Mariners. We got Suarez for the Phillies. We got Gilbert for Mariners. Good pitching matchup here today. What's your take on this game?
Yes, Andy, you know, I'm very selective, always about 1 to 3 best bets per day. That last cut goes up as a bonus free play, and this is actually my official free play for Monday night, and they're over a 60% run the past 3.5 weeks, and it's free every day. So check out my page every day for that free play. I'll give it to you here, but you want to go get some deep dive written analysis. If you like to read, go check that out as well. And also, I do have a strong baseball best bet tonight for my clients, as this game here was my last cut, but I do like the under in this game between the Phillies and Mariners tonight on Monday for a few reasons. First of all, Seattle Mariners really ice cold offensively right now. You know, they had that breakout against the Mets in game 1 on, Friday night, I believe, when they put up 11 runs on 16 hits. Yes, they had 10 hits yesterday against the Mets, but overall, though, this team has still lost 4 of their last 5 games, and they have scored at least 3 runs or less in 6 of their last 7. Now, everyone talks about how unhitter-friendly Petco is up in Seattle, but they're not doing very well on the road here against Baltimore and the Mets. A 6-game stand here. Once again, 3 runs or less in every one of those games except that one game on Friday. So not in good current form. The question becomes, can Ranger Suarez bounce back after 2 bad starts? I think he can. He's only pitched 112 innings this year. He's a veteran pitcher. He went 150 last year, 125 the year before. So I don't think he's hit a wall. He has a solid 3.3 ERA this season, even after giving up 11 runs in his last 12 innings of work the last 2 starts. Still has a solid 3.3 ERA. So this is the type of situation where I look for him to bounce back after back-to-back bad outings against an offense that's struggling. So I look for Suarez to pitch well. But I also think Logan Gilbert's going to pitch well tonight for the Mariners. Solid 3.3 ERA on the season, 3.2 over his last 7 starts going back to early July. And my pitcher projection ratings also look for Gilbert to have a solid outing. And the current Phillies lineup that's facing him tonight have not fared well against the Mariners starter. In fact, the Phillies this lineup is just 205 batting average, 16 for 78 career against Gilbert. So I'd look for both starting pitchers to have the edge tonight. I like under 8 in this game. Now, I would shop around. There's under 8 -120. Some sharp money has dropped this to 7.5 in some locations, over 20. By the way, 8 and 7.5 is worth about 20 cents. It's not a key number. The odd numbers are key with baseball totals, 7, 9, 11, because of extra innings. If a game is tied 4-4, it has to get to at least 9 runs. So 8 under 20 or under 7.5 even is actually the same long-term expected return. So don't sweat it, but shop around as both numbers are available with the under tonight between the Mariners and Phillies. And by the way, this is your 6:45 Eastern national TV game on MLB Network. It's in Philly, but our producer Dan Alexander is now on the West Coast, so you will not be able to see him streak the field during the 7th inning stretch as he's been known to do. And once again, I had this up as my free play today at WagerTalk.com. Speaking of Dan, we're going to knock out a double video for the Royals-Rangers game, also Dodgers-Rockies. So check out that double free play video here on WagerTalk TV as well. Yet another reason to click the bell and subscribe here, but also thumbs up, like, and positive comments below, because we love the positive comments here on WagerTalk TV.
Absolutely, Steve. Great breakdown. I know you're excited. I love your top 25 college football breakdown.
Didn't think I'd have to do it in week 0. Damn them, man.
Can we all agree week 0
seriously, well, I will say this, though, Andy. You know, we talked about Florida State falling on their face last year. They obviously were a flawed team, but you do wonder about you're a top 10 team, a double-digit favorite. You know your season's been wrecked already. You're flying back from like Europe, and it's hard to get back up. So my point being, whoever loses this game is taking a major blow in the Big 12 because it's a conference game, don't forget. And also, you know, a top 25, they're going to be bumped out of the rankings. I'd be very careful with them going forward is my point. It'll be interesting to see if the loser of this game has the hangover like Florida State did last year.
Was that the biggest misread on a top 10 ranked team before the season started last year?
Yeah, once again, you know, I don't want to say, well, they were flat because they lost that game because they were just miserable offensively. I think they scored, what was it, like 14 or less, and I'm like every game for like the next 2 months. Hey, the transfer portal is, you know, makes things so dicey now. And the other problem I think you and I have seen, you know, with college basketball and college football the last couple of years, it's just motivation. We saw this in November, December last year in college basketball. Some blue blood programs. I remember Indiana at times was like that. I'm sure you follow them. You start paying these guys $50,000, $100,000, especially in basketball. We only have maybe 6 or 7 guys you're dealing with. We're getting some real random results at times, and it is changing how you have to handicap, I think. But the bright side to that is I think we can do situational handicapping more than ever, and that's something you and I both love doing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm all about the team totals. You know, that's all I do in college football. It's worked out unbelievably well over 60% since I started doing just team totals. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. So, all right, Steve, what do you have up for clients today?
You mentioned the great 7-day special. I think you're right. There's one more day remaining on that. So it's 7 days for $69, dude. No promo code needed. And it's an instant 30% discount because it's normally $99. You can do any capper. You can multiple cappers. Do Andy Lang, myself, Steve Merril. Get 7 days all access. And by the way, combining Andy Lang and Steve Merril is a really smart investment approach because I'm doing football and baseball right now. Andy, as he mentioned, college team totals, MMA, some little auto racing mixed in, golf, tennis, darts if it's in season, lacrosse perhaps, the prop master. But you could also mix in different cappers with the 7-day flex pass. And it's not flex Tuesday, it's flex Monday because we have 1 day remaining. 7-day all access for $69. You can pick a capper or do the 7-day all access flex pass and choose a different capper every day. It's a great time to try the sampler at WagerTalk.com. There's no promo code needed, but it expires in 1 day. So get there right now, WagerTalk.com.
Steve Merril, everyone. We're going to do all around the world for a couple free plays, and then we have a very special treat. Our own John Hoglund, who's from Chicago, loves Chicago, lives and breathes Chicago, is going to come on and debate Dan Alexander about the Chicago Bears team total. 8.5. This will be heated, but let's do a couple free plays here real quick, Dan. Give the people a couple things that they can look at today. Only a couple here. We got the Astros and the Tigers over 8.5. Arrighetti for Houston, only 4 appearances, gave up 5 runs and 2 of them 5 walks the last time out. Flaherty for the Tigers has given up 11 runs in his last 2 starts, 2 pretty good offensive lineups. And then Teddy Covers likes the Bengals -3.5. Dan Quinn is 1-12. Straight up in ATS as head coach. That was from 2017 to 2019. So looking at Dan Quinn, who doesn't really care too much about preseason. So last 17 games, team has scored 14 points or less 12 times. So interesting stats there for Washington. They did score 18 their last time out, but Teddy's expecting a really good performance from Cincinnati here. All right, let's do it, chat. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Duh, Bears. 8.5. I am out of this one. JH is going to come on. It's JH and Dan's show here, guys. So I will be the moderator. And John, I'm coming to you first. You follow the Bears pretty much as close as even the coaching staff. I'm assuming you're going over on this one, but tell us what you know about the Bears and where you're going with this 8.5.
Yeah, last night's preseason game, that got me pretty hyped. I was about to pull out my phone and start looking at some flights for the Super Bowl. I think that first drive of the game might have been the most efficient offensive drive I've seen the Bears have in my 27 years of being a fan. But this might not be as biased as you were expecting. It might be the whole reason that you had me on was to get some hardcore bias takes. But I'm going to start off with a stat, which I've seen all over social media pretty much the past couple months, actually probably past couple years. But the Bears have only gone over their preseason win total once in the past 12 years, and that was in 2018 with Mitch Trubisky when the Bears won 12 games. But I think one difference this year compared to all of those other years was the Bears went out and got an all-star coaching staff. The Bears have always been, notorious for getting a coach that nobody's even wanted. But of course, Ben Johnson, one of the most coveted coaches over past, 3 years. And then he brings in guys, Dennis Allen, proven defensive coordinator, Antoine Randall, Al Harris, Eric Bieniemy is the running backs coach. But 8.5 is an interesting total because, right, that's the difference between you're really betting on, is this going to be a winning season or a losing season? So last night I knew I was coming on. So I went through the schedule and went actually for the first time this whole offseason, game by game, doing the win-loss. And I finished with a record of 9-8. So I'm leaning towards the over there, but that's with splitting the division 3-3 between splitting 1-1 with the Lions, Packers, and Vikings. So if you don't think that the Bears could split the division, you're probably in the same boat as pretty much everybody else out there and having them going under the total. But with Ben Johnson being the head coach, I think everybody wants to compare the Bears to the Lions. So I do see a little parallels between like the 2022 Lions. I think they went 9-8 that year, but they started off pretty poorly and then rattled off like 6 of their last 7 games, finished 9-8, missed the playoffs. So maybe there'll be some play-on spots for the Bears late in the season. I know they played Dan's Eagles pretty late in the season, Packers, the 49ers, and then the Lions. Jared Goff has to come into the cold in Week 18 if that game matters. So slightly into the over for me. But like I said, that's because I have them splitting the division 3-3.
Andy, I mean, we got to give credit where credit's due.
It's pretty good, John.
The man came prepared. The man came prepared. He came in a Bears
hat. A little different than the debate that Dan and I had back in Detroit a couple months ago.
Yeah, now I will say, Andy, there will probably be a little bit more decorum for our debates than there was when we were sitting around in Greektown on like our 3rd and 4th mythos of the evening. So I don't know if the hot takes will come as much, but I do have a question because so when this line opened, it actually was 5.5. Like we were looking at 5.5 for the Chicago Bears, and we've seen it clearly. The market agreeing with JH that this team is going to be better than bottom feeders, and I would probably argue that as well. However, you mentioned, okay, so you split with the division. There's your 3 wins. Where's the other wins you're seeing? Because I'm looking at this Bears schedule, and this is a 4th hardest schedule in the league. So what? The one that stands out to you, you got to win against the Saints, I'm sure. Then what else stood out to you? You probably have a win against the Giants. Is probably the other one that you're seeing there. And then what against the Raiders? Are those 3 ones that you chalked up? Because where are the other wins coming from? Is my first question before I give my notes.
When I went game by game, I actually had them starting off pretty hot, starting 4-1 or
shocker,
3-1 going into the bye.
Fresh off the 38-point win in preseason, Andy, we gotta be going hot into the season, right? So
listen, he said most efficient drive he's seen in 20 years.
That's how I felt the year when Chip Kelly had Sam Bradford and they couldn't miss in the preseason, and everyone thought this was going to be the greatest offense ever. So I know the exact feeling GAH has right now, but put that aside. You think they're starting off the season hot? Where are the wins at, JH?
I've got them actually winning opening night on Monday Night Football against the Vikings. People got to remember that's a rookie quarterback starting too. JJ McCarthy hasn't had
in Chicago.
In Chicago, in prime time. I do have them losing the following week with Ben Johnson going back to Detroit, but I do have them beating the Raiders and the Cowboys heading into the bye.
Yeah, that's not bad. And also that early bye, typically you're not going to like an early bye, but they get to escape that Vegas flu, which has actually had some credence. The teams don't really cover games after playing Las Vegas. So I'm not coming on here to completely back. I know Andy probably wants some more fireworks, but I can understand. Honesty. I can understand the excitement around and why sharp bettors have pushed this thing up from 5.5 to 8.5. Now, I was going to come on with a crazy hot take and like make a case for under 5.5 and really go wild, but I can't do that to you, JH, because I think this Bears team will be better. The part that gives me pause is, yes, I'm excited for Ben Johnson. I think he is a terrific addition. I think he has a chance to build something here in Chicago, but will those results be immediate? that's where I'm a little bit lukewarm on this thing getting pushed up 3 whole entire wins to 8.5. I think the number right around 8.5 makes more sense here, where you're really either going to be cashing or losing by a hook, because I think it's a great number. But for me, Ben Johnson, you're adding in excitement. You're adding in a offensive, brilliant young head coach, and he's a guy who can really move pieces around and get the most out of his roster. The problem for me, though, gentlemen, lies in the pieces of which he will be moving around the proverbial chessboard. When he was with the Lions, you have a little bit more to work with, JH, than what you have to work with here in Chicago. You have an ultimate, the Jared Goff, who is a system quarterback to end all system quarterbacks. Like, he will do what you ask him to do. He's not going to do anything more. He's not going to do anything less. My issue probably lies more with now you're going to be asking Caleb Williams to be the system. I know you love Caleb Williams. This is a man, folks, who has said before that Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I wish I had it on record. Maybe he'll say it here so we have the record. But Andy, you can back me up. Those words were said, correct? In Greektown.
It got a little heated in the moment. Some things were said. Some things were said at very high volume. So JH, do you stand by that Caleb Williams is better than Jalen
I figured
Hurts?
this was going to be brought up, but those debates over a few cold drinks are a little different than these ones we have here. So we'll revisit that one after this season. We'll see. We'll revisit and see where we're at there. But
a smart man, a politician in his core,
Well
walking
played.
back the Caleb Williams versus Jalen Hurts, so that he has some legitimacy to his over there. But that's the thing for me, Andy, is Caleb Williams. Can he run the system the same way that Jared Goff does and implement that season that in the first season of Ben Johnson? I'm not so sure. So that's why I ever so slightly have to lean JH to the under. So you and I will make up a side bet. We'll go head to head on the 8.5. I think they get 8 wins. You think they get 9 wins. It's as close as you can call it. But JH, I will admit to you, I think this is going to be a Chicago team who in years to come is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm just not so sure if it's going to be this year. So under for me. Andy, you can break the tie. What do you think at this 8.5?
I think they need one more year to get used to a new coaching staff. I think dealing with a new coaching staff, there's just going to be some bumps in the road, but I have high hopes for them next year. I think once they get their coaching staff under control and once they get a really good system, I think they're going to be better next year. Ever so slightly into that, but I'm certainly not going to play it with my own money. So that's where I stand on it. So
this is what they think about your Jalen Hurts take.
hey, there's also a guy who said that he can be by the end of the year. So let's put that one up there too. So.
I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one. I don't think
I have access. I have access to the comments too, Dan.
Damn it.
So, JH, you have an amazing Instagram account. Tell everyone about it because I love following it, and I don't even follow Chicago sports that much. So tell us about that. It's a fantastic follow on IG.
Yeah, so it's all Chicago sports content. You can see it here. It's 6 Point Sports. I make all kinds of ridiculous videos overreacting about the Bears, Cubs, Bulls, Blackhawks, whatever's going on in Chicago sports, and some betting content mixed in as well.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, JH, for coming on. And go Bears.
He came prepared, Andy. I'm not going to lie. I'm proud of my man, JH.
Rooting for him. So John Hoagland, everybody, responsible for most of the great content on our social media platform. So we went long today, but it was a great show. Thank you to Gianni. Thank you to Bill. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to JH for coming on. Dan, thanks for coming in. And that wraps up our season win totals. We'll recap all the season win totals tomorrow. So make sure you're joining us same time tomorrow, noon Eastern here. And if you have not hit the like button, what are you doing? Hit the like button and leave us a comment below. Tell us what you think of the Bears total 8.5. Tomorrow's $5 Tuesday, so we are going to be ready, locked and loaded. It's Contender Series Tuesday, so we'll see you then. Thanks very much for joining us. Good luck on all your bets, and take care.